What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 ways to run a comeback. Okay, we're going to be talking about how to run a comeback against off-man coverage, how to run a comeback against zone coverage, and then how to run a comeback against press-man coverage. So 3 different situations that you guys can see where we like the comeback route. I like it personally in these situations, and today we're going to be talking about a couple ways that you guys can run it and create some separation. And guys, if you're a receiver and you've got to get better hands, right? Hands is something that screws with a lot of guys because they could run all the routes, they could do everything, but they can't finish the play. Check out that link in the description. It says improve your hands in 30 days. Full 30-day program to improve grip strength, hand-eye coordination, and just your overall catching. And if you don't have a quarterback to throw you the ball, this program is perfect for you because it's specifically designed for the guys who don't have a quarterback to throw them 100 freaking balls a day, right? So hope to get you guys on that soon. Check out that link in the description. Let's get started with this breakdown. So first things first here, we're going to be talking about a situation against off-man coverage. So this is going to be talking about changing tempo, right? Changing tempo is so important for receivers because we can't just run one speed the entire time, right? Yes, we can for 3 quarters. Hell yeah, we can run that, but we got to give him something else. And especially as the season goes on, DBs are going to start to get our speed. They're going to start to see our moves on film. So we got to be unpredictable, and we got to have different things in our arsenal to run this route. So let's watch it full speed. So you see how he's here, gets this little skip, bursts up field, gets him to turn his hips, and then he snaps this thing off. So we're going to be talking about technique of the comeback, right? That snap, pivot, hook step. And we're going to be talking about why he decided to change the tempo on this. So you see how he comes off the line full speed, right? Same tempo as we usually have. Now, why wouldn't he just take this up full speed and then break it off right now in this comeback? Because it's too predictable, and maybe he's done this before, and maybe he's sold fade like this before. Maybe he's come off full speed, gave a little skip, and then burst upfield, and we beat him over the top. Quarterback gave this thing to us, and now he's thinking about that. Now he doesn't want that same thing to happen again, and especially when you guys use a lot of this move on film, DBs are going to start to realize that. They're going to start, okay, every time he gives this little skip, he's running a fade. I'm going to be prepared for that. But you make all your routes look the exact same. That's how you create separation. That's a recipe for separation. So you see how when he's here, he gives this little skip tempo change, right, to get the DB to stop his feet, and then he bursts up. He goes 0, 100. And then that burst up is what gets this DB to turn his hips and go. He's thinking, oh, shit, I got beat on a fade. I don't want to get beat. The reason why they're playing off man is to keep everything in front of them, right? They're not trying to get beat over the top. That's why they're playing off man in the first place, because they know maybe this guy's a vertical threat. So he is not going to get beat over the top. But if we can threaten him with my pad level, being in a good explosive position, and by pad level, I mean having your chest not parallel to the ground, obviously. You still keep a straight back. You're not hunched over, but almost like a 45-degree angle where you're driving out. And if you can drive out like this and really push to go forward, that can get him to turn his hips and run with you. Now, when we get him to turn his hips, it's all about being able to cut out time spent at the top of the route, right? So when we get him to turn his hips, I got to cut out time spent, right? So how I do that is by dropping my hips violently, right? Not chattering, not taking 85 steps right here and drifting upfield and then coming back downhill. We're dropping right now. That left leg, you see how he snaps with that inside leg? He's right in stride. You're just running. You're selling vertical. DB's fully committed because of your pad level and your speed, and you're snapping it off in stride. That's something that a lot of people don't do. They start to slow down with that outside leg first. They'll slow down and then they drop, right? And that slow down and you getting yourself to balance by not going full speed and not using your hips to drop you, that allows this DB to react, right? So we want to be able to go in stride, drop right now, be violent with your hips, and you see how his chest goes forward. He's bringing his chin to his knee. Now it's snap. Now the goal after the snap, because that's what decelerates you, right? But I got to be able to get out of the break, right? We want to cut out time. And again, don't get so caught up in steps. If you watch my video yesterday on 45 breaks, we talk about how you're not going to get caught up in steps. So I'm not going to try to repeat myself too much, but don't get caught up in the fact that, okay, I got to get in 3 steps. Let's just focus on selling vertical, dropping your hips violently, and creating energy right here to shoot you back out of this route. So he creates energy with those hips. He's in an explosive position. Now how he can get his hips turned is by pivoting that second step. And you see how he pivots that step right here. That pivot allows his hips to go back down that 45, and when he hooks that step to the outside, that allows him to push off of that hook step to shoot him back downhill and widen the gap from this DB, right? So if I could sell vertical, I get him to turn his hips, and then I'm able to drop on a dime. DB can't prepare for that. DB is so hard because he doesn't know where we're going. He has no clue, and that's why DBs are some of the best athletes on the field, because the guys who are able to make plays, that's so impressive because they have no idea what the receiver's running, right? They might think they have an idea. They might be able to guess, but really they're just reading us, trying to see if we got tells, especially when it's a man coverage situation. When it's zone, a little bit different. We're going to talk about that. But again, if we can push vertical, we could drop on a dime. We could cut out time here, and you see how he pushes here and he accelerates out of his break and the ball's out on time. You can't cover that, guys. You just can't. If you do everything right in terms of this, where you change speed, burst up, get him to turn his hips, cut out steps at the top, cut out time spent at the top, most importantly, and accelerate out of the break and the ball's out on time, quarterback will get the ball there. Don't worry about that. you can't cover that. There's no defense for that. There's no defense for a perfect route. There's no defense for a perfect throw, right? So let's watch this thing full speed one more time. This is a great job. He's coming off here. Hesitate, burst upfield, drop it off right now. Make sure we run out of this break. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at Jeudy here. Against zone, pretty simple. It's the same technique as the last one in terms of top of the route, but we're going to talk about how to attack this thing, okay? So now, Jeudy, you see how he's coming up here and he's able to sell vertical, able to get out of this thing in 3 steps, right? So now, I think the main thing I want to talk about here is that let's say in this situation, there's a DB right here. Let's say where I drew that circle, there's a DB, and he's facing the quarterback. He's in zone coverage. Let's say maybe you come up to the line, pre-snap, I come up, I see one high safety, maybe it's like a 4-4 look, and now that corner's off, right? So that's maybe like cover 3 situation. I know I don't normally talk about coverages on here, but that helps with this situation. So like cover 3 situation, his turn to the quarterback. What I got to do is I got to attack his front hip. That's where you got to be able to go. You want to come off this line, attack that front hip to really try to get him to push vertical, right? Maybe if you want to give like a little head and shoulder fake, like run this thing almost like a post comeback where you take 1 step, stick to the post, then snap it off and go to try to get him to lean to the inside more. That's fine too, but you want to attack. And I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say that's fine. I'm not going to say you could do that every single time, but if you feel comfortable building off of that, if you're a little bit more advanced, you can do something like that where you give it maybe a post fake. But now, the thing about this, though, is that if you attack that front hip, he's going to really be backpedaling out of there. Because, again, zone, he doesn't want to get beat over the top. It's a lot like off man. So we got to make sure that we attack his weak hip. Or if he's not, like, let's say we're maybe on, like, the left hash, and let's say we got some room to work, maybe we attack that blind spot, right? Because if we're in a situation where we're hugging the sideline, you don't want to attack that blind spot because you got no room to work right there, right? But if you're attacking that front hip and that weak hip, he's going to be backpedaling. He's going to be driving out of there because he doesn't want to get beat over the top, and then maybe we could force a speed turn out of him, right? Maybe we could come and attack that weak hip, and then at the last second we get in that blind spot to force him to speed turn because he's going to be going off a field, right? So when he's against zone, you want to attack that front hip or his weak hip and get to that blind spot so we could snap this thing off to where he's got to go off a field. When he's got to go off a field, he's not going to be able to react in time if I do my technique at the top here, right? So you see Jeudy, this is the technique we need. You see he's violent with the first step, like I said. Chest is going forward. He's not on his heels. He's on that middle inside arch of his foot, and then that transitions to his toe. Pivots on the second step, hooks on the third, 4, 5. You see how he takes a 4th and 5th step? That's fine, dude. If you're able to run in, get your hips down, and drive and explode, that's fine. The extra steps don't matter as long as you're able to cut out time at the top, right? Like I was saying yesterday in the video we talked about. We don't want to focus on steps and change my speed and slow down. You want to focus on driving. You want to focus on explosion and cutting out time spent at the top of the route. Let's watch this thing again. Full speed is the right technique to make sure that we're attacking zone coverage. Again, attack his front hip, snap it off, and make sure we accelerate out. Now, we're going to be talking about running a comeback against press man. So I think the main thing here is that you got to give him something either... So the thing everybody loves to say is you can't run a comeback with an inside release, and you can run any route on the field with an inside or an outside release, but there are some situations where you must outside release, you must inside release. I know I've seen that before, but in this situation right here where we take this outside release, where this DB gives us this outside release and we got speed, you really want to make sure that we sell this thing with speed, number one. But if he's hip to hip with us, and this is something you predetermined, you want to give that peek back with your eyes. So let's watch it full speed. See how he's here. He peeks back, snaps it off right now. That's the key right there to selling fade when you got this comeback. This is a great way to run a comeback against press man. You're here, you get a press, you get him to turn his hips and run with you, and you're continuing to run full speed here, and you peek back with those eyes. Now, when you peek back, it's important that you don't lean back. Nobody's running a fade, leaning straight back up in the air and cutting down your stride. You want to peek back, still keep a good explosive pad level position, so this DB commits to the fade. So he runs, he turns his hips, and he goes with you, and then you're able to snap it off, right? So again, he's here, full speed, eyes looking over that shoulder, and you see where does his hand go? His hand goes on that point of control because we want to use his momentum to not, I don't want to say push off because that's the wrong word, but kind of throw, you know what I mean? Like kind of use his momentum and just give him a little touch, like almost like I use the example all the time. Michael Jordan's last shot as a Bull where he worked that crossover guy, his hand was on the guy's hip, hit the step back and shot. Same idea. He didn't push him off. He didn't throw him off. It was just his momentum was going that way, and we want to control his momentum. I want to be able to swat him by here. I want to be able to get hands. Let's get him by, and let's accelerate out. So, again, peeking back, make him think fade, make him think vertical, make him expecting to play those hands, and then snap this thing off and get out of there and make sure I pump my arms and drive out of the break. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So, great job here by Ruggs working this peek back, control his momentum, get those hands off, and accelerate off the break. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys don't have a quarterback to throw you a football and you want to get better hands, check out that link in the description. It says improve your hands in 30 days. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in those comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.